Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and you join me here in the bold bunker Fortress of Solitude here in Wales, where I'm self-isolating along with the rest of the country. But it is not going to dampen my spirits, and I am back with my weekly format, which is the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, a format where you get to choose what list I present each and every week, you lovely little tykes you. And this week we have Seth Law to thank for their suggestion of unkillable video game NPCs that you want to send straight to hell. And I thought to myself, well, seeing as the rest of the world is nearly there, let's get crispy together. But here's the thing, NPCs can be absolute dickheads sometimes. I mean, the thing is that they're meant to be helping you all the time, but sometimes you'll get up against rude, obnoxious arseholes who smugly dole out criticism and unnecessary advice while you're breaking your back to help them. Carry your own turnips, mate. Get your own sacred scrotum. And the thing is, it gets even worse when you can't even dole out, let's just call it physical attitude readjustment to these people, and they're unkillable. So, with this in mind, let's wipe some sass off their asses. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 invincible video game NPCs you wanted to destroy. Yeah, sorry Seth, mate, I had to change the title because YouTube had a bloody fit when we tried to upload it the first time round. But also, remember this, you can submit your own wants and needs. Calm down. For next week's episode, right down below. And I want you to start your comment with something interesting like, Jules, my favourite Pokemon is, and just take it from there. But until then, let's get on with the list, shall we? Number 10, Duck Hunt Dog. Duck Hunt. Man's best friend, more like absolute bellend. This duckhead of a dog is a prime example of unnecessary judgment from an NPC. And you know what? 90% of the time, he's actually really helpful in flushing out the feathery fowl for you to fell with fiery fury. But he managed to dominate your childhood with that chiding laughter the rest of that 10%. And I'm pretty sure that we've all tried to old yeller this fella, should we experience the humiliation of coming up short in Duck Hunt, only to be denied by this NES classic shooter. And for those of you out there that are telling me right now, oh, but you can shoot him in the bonus rounds, that was for the other game, that was for Duck Hunt Versus. You couldn't do it in the original one. That meant the players of the original one couldn't fire dum-dums at this dog, no matter how hard we tried. And I don't ever advocate animal abuse, but I would have shot this dog. Number 9, Falco, Star Fox. Okay, so here's the thing. You're probably expecting Slippy Toad to be on this list when I mention the word Star Fox, but you'd be wrong, because I actually think when it comes to actually being a proper prick, in a need of being taken down a few pegs and then for those pegs to be rammed into its retinas, it has to be Falco. I mean, the smarm and sarcasm that just drop from his beak as he professes to be the best pilot in the team, and his staunch refusal to express any gratitude towards the player when they're saving his feathers from being singed, is infuriating. I think that what makes him stand out more than Slippy, to me at least, is that while Slippy is completely inept, at least he's bloody trying, and his willingness to work together as a team is commendable. Falco, on the other hand, well, he read a book entitled How to Be an Edgy Loner and stopped after chapter 1 and dedicated his entire life to it. And as such, while he is easily the better pilot, his attitude goddamn stinks so much that I would want to shoot him down just to teach him a lesson that he will always be second in command. And I know technically you can actually shoot him and then he goes away, but he flies off with such a salty attitude that clearly you've just made tensions between them even worse. Brilliant. Number 8, all of the children in Skyrim. I know this is going to make me sound bad, but yes, I want to murder every single child in Skyrim. And you want to know why? It is because they are some of the most entitled little bastards who have clearly been living under a rock for the way that they address your character. I mean, the disdain that the Jarl's children have for you in Whiterun is a good example of this. I mean, they go up to you and they say like, oh, another wanderer here to lick my father's boots. Well, you know what, mate? Maybe I've got a foot fetish. Ever thought about that? Maybe I want to lick daddy's boots. I don't. And it's examples like this that make you wish that you could just spank these little kids until their spine shot out of them. But alas, any form of retaliation is prohibited because, again, I guess it's probably not good for you to go around killing kids. Not a good look. Out of fashion now. However, here is my final point though. If these kids carry forward into their adulthood this type of attitude, then the conflict that you see going on in Skyrim is going to be much worse when they are in charge. So I'm just saying, maybe, just a little tapper with an axe. Or at least the Wabberjack, because that's funny. Number 7, Preston Garvey, Fallout 4. Now, while there are some undeniably more annoying Fallout characters in the franchise, Preston Garvey shot to the top specifically because of his goody two-shoes nature and undeniably chipper attitude. I mean, the world has ended 1,000 times over, mate. Maybe you should tone it down just a wee bit. Just a wee bit, you know? And that was to say nothing of his love of protecting settlements, which he would remind the player to do at any given moment. I get it, the farmer over there needs some help, but how about, for a change, how about you listen to this? How about you go over there and help him? Because remember this, I'm your fucking boss. Yes, that's right, the leader of the Minutemen, the general, is ordered around by his own subordinates. How is that a promotion that anyone would want? And should you wish to put Garvey in a gravy, you'll be astonished to find out that you can't even kill him. Even when he turns hostile, should you choose to side with the bandits at the end of the Nuka World DLC, you can't kill him. Luckily, taking this route of action does remove him as a permanent companion choice, but all things considered, he gets off pretty bloody lightly. Number 6, Lisa Trevor, Resident Evil 1 Remake. So, to better explain, let's have a refresher course on how she came to be. Now, she was the daughter of the architect who built the secret lab under the Spencer Mansion, and when it was completed, he was killed. Now, you'd think that that would be the end of it, but unfortunately, Umbrella are Machiavellian evil geniuses, so they captured his wife and his daughter Lisa and decided to experiment on them, as you do. Now, her mother mercifully died pretty quickly into this, but Lisa, well, apparently she was tough enough to survive over 30 years of experimentation. That is not fun. And then, when they'd gotten all they could out of her, Umbrella tried to kill her. And try is the operative word here, because they failed many times over, and eventually they just shackled her up, sent her out to the woods and hoped that she would starve to death. So when you finally know all of this and come to face her in Resident Evil, and you see that what you're doing is actually lifting the stone coffin lid off of her mother's grave, and she takes the mother's skull and says, "Mother," and jumps off of the edge, you know that actually she's probably not going to die from the fall. Barry even says it. And he's a very wise man. I mean, he knows about Jill's sandwiches and not going through that door. But still, this is the thing. Lisa deserves to be put to rest. So I do wish, as unkillable as she is in the game, that she would die. Number 5, Claptrap, Borderlands 3. Now, I'm aware that saying Claptrap is annoying is, well, quite a huge understatement, seeing as he was purpose-built by the team to be insufferable and abrasive. But what I'm actually talking about is one specific version of Claptrap, that being the Borderlands 3 iteration. Now, to better explain, in Borderlands 1, he was wacky, but still not like pushing the boat out too far. Plus, we got to take out our frustrations on him, or at least his brethren, in the Claptrap Robot Revolution DLC. Now, in Borderlands 2, he definitely upped his shtick, but he wasn't that annoying because of the fact he was still lovable by being so, well, kind of pathetic. And yet in Borderlands 3, he's lost all of that charm entirely. And what I mean by this is that it could just be down to the fact that the voice actor changed. But it could also be the fact that he's been scripted completely different. I mean, what they did, instead of him trying to be sort of come across as comedic through bumbling idiocy, is now replaced with trying to be very relevant by using memes, which instantly dates your script. And that is very annoying very quickly. Take, for example, that opening scene that you have with him in Borderlands 3, where he goes, "Oh, let's be really stealthy," and then immediately does something that's unstealthy. That was a joke that was used in Emperor's Groove years ago, and it was much funnier done then. So as soon as he says, "Let's try stealth," you immediately know the joke, what it's going to be, and yet it's still worse than how you envisioned it would be. Claptrap, I love you, buddy, but you gotta go. It's not all terrible, don't get me wrong, but I definitely wanted to put a bullet through his eye many times over before I was done with this game. Number 4, Otis, Dead Rising. Now, to be clear, if the zombie apocalypse does actually happen, then I'm going to want as many people as possible watching my back, especially if one of those people is able to do so through the use of security cameras and warn me of upcoming dangers. Otis from Dead Rising, though? Well, he tries to be helpful. I know he does, but he only really serves to annoy the player because they're already trying to balance time pressures, psychopaths, and of course, an endless horde of the undead. And this can all be summed up by his inability to read a fucking room. Like, when I'm about to be scalped by some rotten chunker, the last thing I want to do is talk to you. Do not take that dial tone with me, friend. I'm sorry your kids didn't call you enough while they were alive, because now they're clearly dead. But I'd have better things to worry about, like keeping my innards on the bloody inside. Good day. Number 3, Tom Nook, Animal Crossing. Tom Nook is, in short, a criminal. Now, I know that Animal Crossing comes with this cutesy and downright adorable aesthetic, but Nook's actions actually speak of a different, more seedy underbelly to this game. You see, what initially transpires as a friend helping another friend out by doing you a favour and giving you a house and all the equipment you want quickly reveals itself to be an almost sweatshop-style scam. He didn't give you that house for free, and no, it is not being gifted to you. It has a huge price tag. And now, those bells are weighing around your neck and will likely drown you. He's also nepotistic to the point where it's truly shifty. I mean, he's hired his nephews to help run his actual business, and then he's got everyone else doing the dirty work for him. He's also insanely rich, and he still wants more, and it boils down to him effectively being a loan shark pretending to be a legit business owner. Now, you might think that Animal Crossing is all about fun and having a laid-back adventure, but you're wrong, because if you just take a look down, you will see he's got you by the balls, nook, line, and sinker. He's popping a cheeky finger up there as well. That's not on. Number 2, Skylar, Cybermorph. The phrase, "Where did you learn to fly?" has been burned into my goddamn mind from my short time with Cybermorph. Even if you have played this game for a few minutes, you will hear this uttered again and again by Skylar, the player's ship AI. And she'll do it every time you smash into the landscape. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Jules, that sounds like something you shouldn't be doing in a flying game. And yes, you're right. On paper, I should only hear this quip once or twice at best. But the controls are so abysmally terrible on this Atari Jaguar game that it beggars goddamn belief. You'll be grinding noses more than work experience down the local butchers. Why did he have so many pig noses to grind? I don't know. Don't ever buy from local butchers in Newton Abbot. Goddamn. And it makes you realise that Cybermorph was a truly terrible game. And it wasn't meant to be the case because Atari were using this to push their Jaguar as being the next big thing, showing off Cybermorph's 3D graphics as an example of what this beast could do. And so, for your walkaway impression to be that it handles like the Titanic on ice, that it looks worse than Bubsy 3D, and has the cheek to mock you with an annoying NPC that you can't kill unless you off yourself? Awful. And number 1, Eric Sparrow, Tony Hawk's Underground. Eric Sparrow. From the day that I met this glorified chump to the day that I die, I will curse his name. Who the hell expected the Tony Hawk series to provide one of the most detestable characters in video games? Not me, that's for sure. And when Eric turned super heel on the player's custom protagonist and then takes credit for their tricks in the name of glory and fame, he was made public enemy number 1 by the fan base. And it goes well beyond wanting to show him up for the fraud that he is, as Eric's repeated betrayals mean that many wish to see him dead. Again, a Tony Hawk's game did this. That's quite amazing, isn't it? And you know what? I think it speaks to most of us on a personal level of that one supposed friend that we all had who actually never had your back, who was a complete user and put others down to lift themselves up. And that was really infuriating, therefore, to not really get a comeuppance for him. I mean, sure, you show him up at the end, but a lot of people wanted him gone. Well, at least Tony Hawk's Underground 2 embarrassed him even further, so I guess that was a little bit of payback. But still, Eric, I fucking hate ya. And there we go, my friends. That was another episode of Choose Your Own Adventure. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please give it a like and share it with your friends as well, because it really helps us out. It really, really does. And also put down below what you'd like to see next week, and I'll be here at this table with my yellow mustard wool delivering it for you lovely people. And if you want to chat further, you can do so at RetroJ with a 0. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. We spoke a lot today about NPCs that we wish that we could destroy. But you know what? I really think, especially in the current situation of the world, that you should never go out there with hate in your hearts. Try and forgive people. Try and experience and express love for others, for your neighbor, because who knows, in this day and age we might need to rely on each other a lot more than we previously did. So let's actually try to build some bridges instead of burning them. And I know that sometimes it can be hard to forgive mistakes and people, the mistakes that people have made in the past, but if you can, if you have the capacity to do so, then try, because together we're stronger. Divided, that's the real problem. I hope that you got something from that, and massive love to all of you. Please be safe and continue to stay indoors. It sounds like that Mitchell and Webb sort of sketch, but less funny. But this is the thing, just make sure that you're taking care of yourself, your friends and your family, because they got your back, so you should definitely have theirs. Wash their back as well, you know, keep them clean. I'm not your dad, I can't tell you what to do, but maybe that would help. Anyway, I hope that you go out there or stay in, as is now the case, and absolutely smash it, you big legend. I will be back here next Tuesday with another episode. But until then, I'll see you next Tuesday. Oh, that was a swear.